What is happening, everybody? It is your boy Sean Alami, and I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful day. As the date of this video, it's been almost 3 weeks that the new iPhone 13 series have been released, and the word on the street is that the new features of the phone are not exciting enough for one to make the people to make the switch from the 12 to the 13. However, this new phone has a new feature that's got the whole content creators very curious, and that mode is called the cinematic mode. Now, in the past couple of weeks, there's been videos out reviewing the phone, but mainly comparing this phone to professional cinema gear. And the number one question that's been raised, that is this phone ready to replace all of our professional cinema gear? And to be honest with you, I think it's a little too early to ask that question. I mean, you can't expect to go from iPhone 12, which was making decent phone footage, to come next year with the upgrades, to expect this phone to carnage all of our cinema gear. That's just not gonna happen. So to all my professional colleagues, stop feeling ambivalent and stop having these mixed feelings of wanting to sell your gear, replace it with an iPhone 13 Pro, and I don't know, invest the rest in real estate. Stop having these panic attacks. We're not there yet. Relax. Now that we have this premise eliminated, let me talk to you about why I'm making this video. I got this phone right about, I think, a week ago, 10 days ago, and I want to put the cinematic mode into test, but I didn't want to just put it to test for me. I actually want to do a proper project and put it into test for you guys and treat it like if this was a high-end client of mine paying me to do a project like this. So the first thing I did, I wanted to pick a location that's very special. And the location I picked is very special to me. It might be very special to you. This location is no other than the beautiful city of Paris. Now, I could just go to Paris and, just literally just walk through the streets of Paris and film everything, and I'll end up with some amazing footage because in my opinion, Paris has never-ending beautiful corners, cafes, and streets they could film for days, and you still come back with a whole lot of footage worth looking at. That being said, I didn't want to just film Paris. I wanted to have a talent in front of me. So I started to have this vision of a ballet dancer dancing through the streets of Paris. And my next move was to find a ballet dancer in Paris. Now, I didn't know anybody in Paris, let alone a ballet dancer. So I started digging on Instagram and I started just sending out messages to dance schools, to dancers. And luckily, most of these guys were really nice to me, really responsive. After 2 weeks of just digging and going back and forth with different people, I was lucky enough to get introduced to a very talented dancer named Gabriella. So right after when Gabriella was on board, I only had a couple of days to plan everything, the locations, book the hotels, etc. Paris is about 5 hours away from where I live in Germany. So me and my wife, we drove to Paris, we met with Gabriella, and we put this phone to test for 3 days, day and night. And the result of it was a short film about 2 minutes called Adage. I hope I'm saying that right in French. I will leave a link for you guys up here for you to check it out. Go and check it out and hit that like button and tell me what you think. And a special shout out to Gabriella. Thank you for being such a professional. Thank you for trusting us. Without you, this project wouldn't have been possible. Alright, now let's get to the point, and I want to talk to you guys about what I like about the cinematic mode. And I'm going to give you some tips where you can use the cinematic mode and end up with some magnificent footage. Now, before I start talking about the cinematic mode, I want to talk about a really important aspect that's going to help you end up with some beautiful looking footage or pictures. And that is the art of composition. The art of composition is so important, perhaps more important than lighting or anything else. Even if you have a well-lit shot, if the composition is not correct, you're not going to have a good looking picture or a video. So I suggest really take your time and learn the art of composition. Now let's talk about the cinematic mode. The number one thing I love about the cinematic mode and the iPhone 13 Pro in general are the colors. The colors just look amazing right after the camera. When I was shooting this in Paris, what I was doing, I was shooting it with the cinematic mode and I was using my Sony Alpha 7S III. When I take the Sony Alpha 7S III, of course, it's not comparable to an eye that's not so trained in this field. You might not be able to tell a difference if you're looking at it just that. If you've been doing this long enough, you'll definitely be able to tell a difference. And my point is, when I take the footage from my Sony Alpha 7S III and I bring it into post, then I have to do a lot of color grading in order for it to look pleasing. This phone, when you look at the footage and you just film with it right off the bat, the dynamic range is amazing and all the colors look amazingly natural, which is amazing. Now, what makes this mode cinematic is that selective focus mode that makes it appealing to the eye, where it blurs the background, but unfortunately, because it is a computer that's doing that, it's not really doing a good job. It's not doing it like, a camera on the lens does it, where it does it through a glass. It's all artificially, that's why it doesn't look so great. But the advantage of it being computer generated is you can film whatever you want and you don't have to worry about keeping your subject in focus. You can do all of that after you finish filming. For example, in this shot, we were at the beautiful Louvre in Paris. And the shot starts by being focused on the pyramid. And as soon as it comes down, it automatically starts focusing Gabriella. And I could tell it to don't do that and keep the focus on the pyramid. And I can keyframe that and then tell it later to bring the focus back on Gabby, which is amazing, in my opinion. You can't really do that with a professional camera. Now, one tip I'm going to give you to avoid all this weird blurriness is to tell your talent to not have open hair or wear glasses. That will definitely make the situation worse. And this is what we did with Gabby. She had her hair all pulled back. Definitely didn't eliminate the problem completely, but it most definitely helped. If you're just shooting your subject from far and your view is really wide, you won't necessarily run into this problem. But as soon as you get closer, you start to see it. And another tip I can give you to try and avoid that is to put the f-stop, depending on the shot, around f6. And this will try to eliminate some of the chaos that's going on. And if you bring it down to f.2, like for example over here, the nose is gone, so I couldn't really do that. So I made all these adjustments right after when I was done filming, so that was really a good advantage. Now, another tip I'm going to give you is to try to use the 77mm zoom lens. What this does, it creates this really nice shallow depth of field, and it makes the background of your subject really big. And if you are moving across from left to right or right to left, or even if you're moving in on your subject, it makes the background move in a really nice way, which gives it really that cinematic look where you don't get if you're shooting wide or if you're used to seeing what the normal phone does. This is one of the things that separates the look of the cinematic mode to everything that we've ever seen before coming out of this phone. Now, of course, I'm not saying to shoot in this zoom mode at all times. Sometimes you want to establish a location. Of course, we would shoot wide, but if you're shooting a subject, like in these most cases you see in Paris, I was always in a zoom lens, and it really gave it that extra cinematic effect. Now, last but not least, the one thing that I really loved about this phone is that it performs magnificent at night. Just look at this shot. I'm going to put this shot right next to the footage of my Sony Alpha 7S III. Now, the Sony Alpha 7S III we all know is a night piece, but I still have to bump up the ISO. I will end up with some noise. I have to take it to Premiere with some third-party software. I have to denoise it, and all that process takes a lot of time. But look at what the iPhone is doing in camera. We were never able to do that before with our phones. I was never able to pull out my phone at night and end up with footage like this. It's amazing. So big ups to Apple. I love it. Now let's talk about the final verdict. I believe this phone still got a long way to go in order for me to want to use it for my professional work. But if you are a blogger and if you're an influencer and if you're making constantly content for your social media platforms, I gotta say, this phone is an absolute beast of a gadget for you to have in your pocket. The colors you can produce with the recently added raw ability to take pictures, this is a no-brainer. Even though I'm not gonna use this for my work, but I feel a lot more comfortable pulling this phone out of my pocket and snapping pictures or videos, perhaps from my own social media platforms, which is something that I never did. I always used a professional camera to take pictures or videos for my social media platforms. Alright guys, if you found this video useful, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, tell me what you think about the cinematic mode if you have this phone. Stay tuned, and until we see each other next time, stay safe.